When I was maybe 17 or 18, there was a moment in my life where I paused. I remember sitting out on my parents' front deck, staring up at a sky that was full of stars. Now, where they live, there's no city lights. It's out in the country, and the sky just illuminates at night, and you can actually see just the streaks of color of the Milky Way at some nights because it's so clear. And I remember sitting there that night, and I started to contemplate the universe. And I started actually thinking about all the things I'd learned in science class about the universe and how the galaxy, the Milky Way works, how our planet works, and it was so weird how to even describe it, how I was just staring into eternity. I know I couldn't see the end of the universe, but it was like it didn't end. It was the whole point. I was so small in that moment, and I started to realize just the wonders of life, down to just the creation of life on this earth, and then even just to the ends of reality, and how majestic and wonderful and incredible and glorious it was. And I realized that I had never in my life doubted there was a God. And so in that moment, I didn't struggle to attribute all that to a creator. I mean, I would feel if someone had ate this amazing meal in front of me, just the most delicious, most well-prepared meal, gourmet meal. And I asked them, do you believe there was a cook? And they said, no. I would be like, what? But that wasn't my struggle in that moment. It wasn't the idea that God existed. It was much more than that. Because that, like I said, that wasn't a problem for me. It wasn't the existence of God. But I started to realize his masterpiece and how glorious it was. And I started to think about his reality. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, it says, "But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him." In some Bibles, it actually says, "You must believe that he exists." But the word exist isn't there. And I don't believe it was ever meant to be. Because, honestly, from the beginning of time, atheism is the minority. Theism, the idea that there was a God, a creator, is not a new idea, nor has it ever been a new idea since the beginning of time. So Paul didn't need to write, hey, you gotta believe he exists. That didn't need to be said. But what did it mean? It is actually exactly what was going on in my life that night. This idea of who is he? Them, it, whatever, Who is he? What does he think? I mean, obviously he's very creative and very wise, because it's not a chaotic universe. Yeah, sure, we see bad things happen every day. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there are so many things about where the earth is, its tilt, so many things that if they were off just a degree, we couldn't live here. I'm not talking about 3 or 4 things. I'm talking about hundreds of things that have to be right where they are, precise. And who is he? In Proverbs 3:6, it says, "Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make straight your path." Well, we're talking about God here. God, who man has struggled to even give a name, because a name describes the person. That's what it was meant. That's what names did. They had meaning behind them, and they meant something. And who is he? How do you acknowledge him today? Who is God? And that is the beauty of Christianity, is God wanted to communicate who he was to man. God sent Jesus, who is the full imprint of his nature and what he thinks and what he does and what he wants and what he says, was all in Jesus. Why? Because we are finite beings and we're trying to understand the infinite God. I mean, how do we do that? But God knew that. He says, I can do it. No one else could. No one could translate God. No man can do that, but God can. And he came to the earth as a man, but his fullness was still there. And he walked this earth. He walked among broken people. He walked among sinners. He walked among the rebellious, and he shone who God was. And I'm so grateful for that, because there's so many times when I hear even ministers talk about God, that he does it this way, he does it that way. It's like, I never saw Jesus doing that. And Jesus said, I only say what I hear the Father saying, and I only do what I see the Father doing. Jesus shows us who God is. He shows us a God who knows that we have failed. We are rebellious. We have no way back to God, and we are worthy of judgment and wrath. But out of his great love, he made a way to take care of that. We were guilty. We are guilty. We have failed. But God knew that, and he knew what it would take to resolve that issue. And it wasn't just an issue of, I'm sorry. No, he wanted to fix the problem. Jesus is the hope you need today. Acknowledge God in all your ways, and he will make straight your path. Some of you today, you don't even believe in God, but you are going through hell. There are so many people that are contemplating horrible things because they think their life is meaningless. They think that they have no hope. I've been there, but God sees you. I'm not telling you to give God a chance, because it's not about giving God a chance. He is the answer. He is the healer. He is the Savior. He is peace. He is hope.